and guarantees. And joining us now in the Element Wealth Studios, Rachel Shumaker, Miss Mississippi Volunteer, and Captain Criss Turnipseed from the Mississippi Highway Patrol. Good morning, folks. Good to see y'all.
Good to be back.
All right. Tell us about this DRIVE campaign. That's DRIVE is an acronym, I believe, in all caps. Tell us what that means.
So it stands for Driving Requires Initiative, Values, and Education. And while it's been a part of the Highway Patrol for several years now, Miss Mississippi Volunteer is the official spokesperson statewide for it. So since I came here in the fall, I've been traveling the state and have given about 40 presentations to all different sizes of groups and ages. A presentation I call the Fatal Four, which covers the most frequent driving dangers.
Okay. And what are those?
So they're speeding, impaired driving, distracted driving, and seatbelt usage. But it's Distracted Driving Awareness Month, so that's usually the one that I focus on the most and the largest problem that I see in high schools.
Really has become a big problem, has it not, Captain?
It is. Too much you can do on these phones right now. You know, we didn't have to grow up with that kind of temptation, but
Yeah.
the world is at your demand right there at your fingertips while you're driving on the road. And that's a hard temptation for adults, but a lot of times for our youth to not, be able to resist.
What's the present law in Mississippi?
Well, right now we have a distracted driving law, but mostly that what we deal with as law enforcement, we use our careless driving law. The burden of proof for our current distracted driving law is a little bit, sometimes it's questionable to be able to see or what have you. You have to be able to look in the vehicle and see somebody actually texting on a phone. You have to be able to prove that in court. But what you can do is see someone, not paying attention or swerving in and out of traffic or running off the road. You can see them looking at a phone, but the careless driving usually covers is a pretty safe bet as a citation to use against someone who's driving distracted.
I think back a long time ago when I was a teenage driver, and normally when you saw a vehicle acting erratically, you pretty much know they were either sleeping, falling asleep, or they were inebriated. But now I suspect most of the time it's because they're on the phone.
I cannot tell you how many times you would be behind someone, following someone, you thought you had them dead to rights, a impaired driver, and get them out, and they'd be just as sober as the judge, And,
Yeah.
Come to find out through some talking, I was on my phone, or I was having an argument with someone, or just distracted, didn't have their minds on the road, and you would have swore up and down that they were were drunk drivers.
Yeah. It's unbelievable how times have changed, and unfortunately that could sort of just increases, I guess, the possibility of having that sort of situation behind the wheel. And all right, so Rachel, tell us about how you achieved this distinction, this title, Miss Mississippi Volunteer.
So I was crowned Miss Mississippi Volunteer after about a week-long competition last July in Tupelo, and our next one will be upcoming this July 5th through the 9th in Tupelo as well.
Okay. Are you from Tupelo?
I'm from Pontotoc, so
close.
Tupelo adjacent.
Yeah. All right, and so there's a national Miss Volunteer pageant pretty soon. When is that? Where's that going to be?
That is going to be in Jackson, Tennessee, and the preliminary competitions are May 4th through the 6th, and the final night of competition is May 7th.
Okay. Do all states have Miss Volunteer?
We have 47. We are missing a few states, but we are almost there.
They need to get on board.
It's our first year, so we're working on it.
So how did you get with this title? How did you get connected to this DRIVE program? It seems perfect, honestly, but how did you get connected to that?
I would love to take credit for coming up with that on my own, but that was something that was established long before that crown was ever placed on my head between the Highway Patrol and our executive board. But it's really made this job more meaningful because I get to see the changes in those faces and those students. I usually ask, raise your hand if you text and drive, and 2/3 of the room, if not more, shoots their hands up because we're Generation Z. We're really good at using our phones. We don't realize every single time we pick the phone up while driving the risk that we're assuming. So it's really special to use this title to walk into the room, see those hands go up, and then by the time I leave, so many of them are shocked that they've been involved in something so dangerous.
So then you're traveling around the state and addressing groups at high schools, elementary schools, or?
All of the above. So you can even start with young children, teaching them, hey, do you see your mom or your dad use their phone while driving? And all of them will raise their hands. Yeah. It can start at a young age, and a lot of times it is reaching adult drivers, those of us who have been driving for several years, because we've gotten so good at it. We're so comfortable. It's such an easy habit to get into. So I work with the public affairs officers from the Highway Patrol to reach those different groups.
I got you. And you feel like that's having an impact? You don't shame them a little bit, do you, when they all raise their hand and say, of course we do?
No, I usually raise my own hand as
Of
well
course,
because
yeah.
before I worked for the Highway Patrol, I was absolutely one of those people
Okay.
that used my phone while driving. So no, I don't shame them. I just try to help them make the connection. You know, I ask them, what do you want to get out of life? What are your goals?
Yeah.
We've all got goals and dreams, but very infrequently do we actually think about the fact that getting behind the wheel every day
Yeah.
could be the very thing that stops us from getting to those goals.
Yeah, and Captain, this isn't something that's unique to any particular age group. This
No.
is across the spectrum.
No, and I want to interject something about Rachel here too, because when she
Goodness.
goes in and she speaks, you know, she's a young lady, you know, younger, not too far away from the generation from actually who she's speaking with.
Sure.
So these kids kind of let their guard down with her and kind of talk to her. You know, when I'm standing up there with a gun and a badge on,
Yeah.
they're all kind of looking at you kind of stern, you know, and just kind of. You can feel it's just a little bit different environment because you know I'm going to arrest them or I'm going to write them a ticket, but she can get in and have those conversations with those kids and they let their guard down and really can hear and accept what she's saying. You know, as someone who's walks in the same shoes as they do a lot of times, and she's been very effective, you know, using that gift that she's got
Yeah.
for our drive campaign.
What kind of feedback, Rachel, do you receive, let's say, from teachers and administrators? Because I know they got to be excited when you come in and make your speech and try to impress upon our precious youth the risks of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I've gotten a lot of really good feedback. In fact, a lot of schools have asked me, you know, come back and speak to a different group of students the next semester. I think it's interesting to them because they hear, oh, Miss Mississippi Volunteers coming to our school. What could she possibly have to say of
Yeah,
value? And that's
sure.
to be expected.
Sure.
But, you know, they have so many presentations that they could offer their students. And as a student, I remember, oh, okay, another presentation. It's time for me to take a break or
Yeah.
get out of class for an hour or so. But I really try to capture them from the beginning by talking with them, engaging with them instead of talking at them
Yeah.
and meeting them where they are. And they usually really are engaged. I see the faces changing as I'm talking to them and explaining these things to them. So not only do I think the students have enjoyed it, but a lot of teachers have said, wow, my child is about to get their driver's license. I can't wait to share the things that you've given me today with them.
Do you feel like it's changing them? Do you feel like that maybe before you get there and the people raise their hand and say, yeah, guilty, and then after you speak with them, that hopefully they change those habits?
You know, I'm sure that there are people that walk out of those rooms that never change their habits.
Yeah.
But if just one person has, it's all been worth it. And I believe that probably every single time I go into a school, there's at least one person who thinks differently. At least they've changed their thinking, if not their behavior, when they pick up their phone or maybe they decide to wear their seatbelt that day.
Absolutely. Totally agree. So the title is for a year?
It
Is
is
that right?
for a year. Someone else will have this title in July.
Okay. And are other states, are they utilizing this position as well in this communication effort the way you are with this drive campaign?
So the drive campaign is unique to Mississippi. However, if I am chosen to be Miss Volunteer America, I hope to use our partnership as a model for other states to adopt, whether that's with their highway patrol or another state organization that better fits their needs depending on their state for them to adopt.
Makes total sense. That'd be awesome. But we want you to be a Miss Volunteer America.
Oh, we do.
I sure hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. It would represent our state well.
Thank you.
And I think you'd be well suited for that.
Thank you.
distinction.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, but I do think that if that should occur, and we pray it does, that would influence other states because it's a global problem.
Absolutely.
Actually.
You know, there's a lot of campaigns, there's a lot of causes that people get behind that sometimes we look at and we shake our heads like, why are we voicing, so upset about this? But this is something that impacts everybody. It's such a, we talk about epidemics and pandemics, but this is a worldwide problem.
Yeah.
This distracted driving and some of these driving behaviors, and what a worthy cause, and and what a great spokesperson in Rachel, to spearhead that cause. And I'd love, hopefully, she will be able to take it national. It'd be a great thing.
Totally agree. Do you find that you even have to be careful with state troopers who are behind the wheel as well?
Yeah. That's everybody.
Yeah.
Computers, phones. Everybody has to be aware of what they're doing while they're driving.
Absolutely.
Can't ever get too comfortable.
Rachel Shumaker, Miss Mississippi Volunteer, and Captain Criss Turnipseed from the Mississippi Department of Public Safety, the Highway Patrol, have been our guests here on Middays. Thanks, guys, for coming on, and best of luck to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. I've enjoyed it.
You got it. We'll be back here on Middays from the Element Wealth Studios after